This is one of the oldest weapons in the game. It was released in 2014 and it kind of shows. It was his first attempt at a primary crossbow, with the secondaries already having the ballistica at the time. I'm of course talking about the Attica. This thing is actually pretty straightforward. It requires mastery rank 7 and it does primarily puncture damage. The crit is very solid with a 25% crit chance and a saucy 3x crit multiplier, though the status chance could be a little bit higher, it's only at 10%. The fire rate, however, is somewhat low at only 3.67 and the reload speed. My god, the reload speed. 2.8 seconds. Mamma mia. So let's give it a shot and see if all the updates and new mods and power creep in general has made this thing usable in 2024. Shall we? My goodness, I almost forgot. You get this from the Tenno Lab in your dojo. It's not very expensive. I think this should be relatively straightforward actually. Number 1, install an adapter. We're gonna go with Merciless purely for the reload speed. I am not having a 2.8 second reload on this. That is not happening. Galvanized chamber. Scope. Maybe, probably, as well as aptitude, there we go. Vital sense to spice up that saucy crit damage, and hunter munitions for some slash. I seem to remember the bolts being really slow, so let's put on terminal velocity right away. And rhyme rounds for Viro. This is actually quite a nice combination. We get the Viro, which is going to boost our slash, and then we have the puncture, which is going to boost our crit. I'm so glad puncture weapons finally got some love, because slash weapons have always been really strong, right? And impact weapons have gotten a lot of love with like internal bleeding and the opening up to finishers and all that. And now puncture weapons have a place in the game as well, because they're really good for crit. I suppose we could go with primed fast hands. However, I think it's a better idea to try it and see what it needs. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Okay, we need more fire rate. I am not doing that. Oh my god. In you go, buddy boy. Man, scorpions are the worst. They flail around so much. This is actually doing some good damage. Look at that. That's very good. That is very good. What a nice surprise this. Look at that. Yeah, that's very good. What about a bombard? Yep, no biggie. I mean, it's slash at the end of the day. Slash is just very good. Let's add Harold and try max level, at least in the simulacrum that is. There is a bit of a ramp up, which is to be expected. I mean, we're running Merciless and a bunch of galvanized stuff, but yeah, you get a few kills and it goes absolutely ballistic. Me likey. This is fabulous. I expected some resistance, right? I didn't expect to just put on a build and for it to work. Not on the Attica. So this is good. But I do want to try one more thing. Hammer shot. Something like this? Just go heavy on crit with primary frostbite and primed cryo rounds. Let's see what it do. No Harold, just to see the actual damage. Yeah, dude, this actually works as well. That's quite nice. That is quite nice, and that's without Harold. Harold is gonna have a much bigger effect here. You know what, even though I probably like this a little bit more, because I prefer damage, upfront damage to damage over time, the reload speed is killing me. Look at it go, that's so slow. So this is also an option if you want to do an upfront damage setup, or if you have like a Riven with reload speed, or you're running Toxic Chroma, or something like that. But I actually prefer the first build because it feels a little bit better. Let's see if it's any good in a normal mission as well, though. Oh my god, you know what? I just realized the best way to describe this, yeah, is the Boltor you have at home. That's basically what it is. It doesn't feel bad though, it's not bad, it's just like a worse Boltor. If only Thunderbolt wasn't so utterly garbage. One day, I'm telling you, one day, they're gonna buff it, and it's gonna be glorious. Overall, I don't have any major complaints so far. The damage is solid, the reload speed is still pretty long, but it's better with Merciless. This feels better than expected. I would very much appreciate a shorter reload though, still. Of course I get the most in-your-face Acolyte where I need to be aiming down sights, bloody hell. The damage is surprisingly good though. It's not bad. Overall, good stuff. By the way, I have to be a little bit more reserved today because I have a new microphone and I cannot for the life of me fix a clipping issue with it. Man, Lua is such a cool tile set. I don't know why I don't play here more often. Yo, that... Aren't sentients just really weak nowadays? Every weapon that I seem to test against them absolutely melts them to bits. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, Slash is like a universally good damage type for the most part. So it's doing well against the Corpus and the Grenier, and it's shredding Sentience as well. Malice. My dude. It is quite impressive how fast it shreds the Acolyte's shields, though to be fair, Acolytes don't have that many shields? The health damage is really good. Off you go, Malice. Malice, are you using my Opticore build by any chance? Holy shit, that was a lot of damage. Sit down, bitch. Look at this. That's ridiculously good. Yeah, that's solid single target. I think this is it. It's nothing too spectacular, you know, it's just a relatively basic hunter munitions build, but it works really well. So, yeah, I think we're done. So, here's the final build for the Attica, and it's very straightforward. We have Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot, Galvanized Scope for a crit chance, though this can sometimes be a little bit difficult to stack because we're using damage over time and we need direct headshot kills for it. And it's actually even more difficult if, like me, you're using pet that primes radiation, so the enemies are fighting amongst each other. But anyway, after that we have Vital Sense for crit damage, Hunter Munitions, which sometimes gives us slash procs on critical hits, Galvanized Aptitude for status chance and condition overload, then Rime Rounds and Malignant Force for vital damage and status chance, as well as Vile Acceleration for a ton of fire rate. We also have Terminal Velocity in the Exilus to speed up the bolt, and we top it off with Primary Merciless for damage and reload speed. Alternatively, though I would only really recommend this if you have a Riven and you can roll reload speed on it, or you're using some other way of speeding up your reload times, you can run this build instead. This is a very crit heavy setup that utilizes primary frostbite and goes for pure cold. It's very similar to the first one, it's just that the arcane is different, and then instead of vital we have primed cry rounds and hammer shot. Now, we weren't just showcasing the build itself, we were using a priming pet, in this case Good Boy Harold, which is my priming focused hound that primes radiation, heat, puncture, impact and vital. The difference between hitting an enemy that's not primed by Harold and one that is primed by Harold is quite substantial, so if you try this setup and it's not doing quite as much damage as it does in this video, this is why. This weapon has actually been recommended quite a bit, and I understand why. Crossbows are cool and people want to use them. But unfortunately, for a long time, crossbows have been mediocre at best. There was a time where crossbows were pretty decent. This was before we had an awful lot of endgame, so you could get away with just running Thunderbolt, Fire Rate, and then using it on Mirage. But nowadays that's simply not enough, though luckily we've gotten enough updates and there's been enough power creep and we have enough new mods and new mechanics to where you can absolutely make crossbows work. So even though I can't believe I'm about to say this, yes, I would recommend you give the Attica a shot. It's pretty decent. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's quite a bit of fun. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.